Yo, what is up, Carbonation? Welcome here to another NASCAR Live, joined by the NASCAR GOAT himself, Luke. We are doing the Wise Power 400. Is this the first? Time this race is branded the Wise Power 400? Because I'm pretty positive that I haven't heard this before. Or was this the name of the race last year?
They didn't race here last year, but I think the year before it was the Wise Power. So I think this is the second time.
Okay, I got you. I was like, wait a second. Like usually it's not till like the mid season or late season when they start throwing in the crazy new sponsors and stuff. And I was like, what? The second race of the season? That makes sense. All right, so this is a live stream for a reason, so it gives you an opportunity, which we have a few hours here before lock to ask, no matter where you're watching this live stream, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, any of our channels that we're currently airing to. It gives you the opportunity to ask your questions in the chat and get them answered live on stream. Now, after the stream is over with, you can watch it as a replay. No matter where you're watching it, the replay is available. But if you want more questions answered, then go ahead and hop into our free Discord just by going to dfskarma.com/chat. dfskarma.com/chat. That's how you get in there. But there is as you've seen the title, there is a pretty exciting free roll going on today as well. $2,500 free roll from our partners at Jock Market. If you've been kind of only playing on DraftKings and FanDuel for the last couple decades, then there's this new kind of format that we've been pretty heavy on, pretty strong on, and doing having a lot of success on the last like 6 or 7 months now. It's called Jock Market. You can go to Jock JOCK MKT, so they like abbreviate market, JOCKMKT.online to create a free account. You get a $100 deposit bonus if you use the promo code Karma, but it's pretty much a DFS stock market. So how it works for the free rolls, no matter what sport you're playing, is you want to get for NASCAR anyway, you want to get a driver that you believe is going to have the best ROI. Now, when I say ROI, if a driver finishes the number one scoring fantasy driver in the race, then he is going to get $25 per share. So they give you $250 in like play tokens to bid on as many shares of whatever players you want to. But what you're trying to do is you're trying to get a driver who's going to finish as close to the top as possible and fantasy points scored, but you want to get him as cheap as possible. So you don't want to just go crazy and go all in on the top driver because you may not have the best ROI. So you want to kind of get somebody, around the midsection there. And if they finish in the top 3, you're going to win some money in the free roll. So definitely check that out. And we'll go into more strategy and talking about that here in a second. But first thing I want to ask you, Luke, is with all of the races across the season, there's a whole lot of differences in track style and rules and regulation. I know that in Daytona we have I know it's not coined this anymore, but I'll say it because that's how I refer to it as the restrictor plate racing. But last week we told you guys you want to leave a ton of salary on the table. You want to target the guys in the back because place differential is huge in races like this. With the Wise Power 400, is it the same? Is it different? And if it's different, what strategies are we looking at just based on the rules and the track in itself?
So for a track like Daytona, laps led don't mean as much just because we're stacking guys in the back. But for this week, it's not a super speedway race, so we're gonna have to focus on trying to get those dominators, that's what's different from last week. But it is kind of like Daytona because there's a bunch of guys in, I'd say, decent equipment that are starting near the back. So we are gonna have to play some guys in the back, but we can't just play all the guys in the back. We have to have a couple of those guys starting near the front that offer us dominator potential.
All right, so this is a similar strategy, I guess you could say. Are we, even though we're targeting guys in the back, are we leaving as much salary on the table as we would in a Daytona 500 race?
I wouldn't try to leave more than 1,000. I mean, yeah, Daytona, you can save salary and still make good lineups. I think for a track like this, you don't need to do that.
All right, fair enough. So let's go ahead and let's focus on the top tier. So we're going to divide all of the salaries into 3 tiers. You get the top, the mid, and the low. So the top tier, which driver right now is your favorite cash play?
So for the top tier, it has to be Kyle Larson. It's just he's coming off a dominating year last season. He won 11 races. He has a win at Auto Club back in 2017. He has 3 wins at Michigan as well, which is a similar track. I just think he checks all the boxes. He offers place differential. He's in Hendrick, which is probably the best team in NASCAR right now. He offers place differential, and yeah, I just think it's going to be pretty easy to afford him this weekend, and I think he has a ton of upside. So.
All right, so we're targeting Larson for the cash game high tier. Let's move over to the GPP side. I guess my first question is Larson GPP playable, and regardless to the answer to that, who is somebody else that is also somebody you're targeting for the GPP high tier? So first question, is Larson playable in GPPs, or is it something where he's just going to be too overexposed where you're just going to have to try to move around him?
So it really depends, because I wouldn't say Larson's like a lock in tournaments, but he's definitely like one of the best top tier plays. So it's definitely worth having exposure to. But another guy that I like in the top tier a lot, it's the other Kyle Busch. He has great track history at Auto Club. He has 3 wins, 8 top 5s over his last 9 races here. He leads a bunch of laps, and he's starting 3rd. I don't think he's going to the rear. I saw something that said he might, but I don't think he is. And he's starting 3rd, so he has a good opportunity to lead a lot of laps from the start. And I think that gives him a lot of upside. So I like Kyle Busch in the top tier.
All right, so before we get to the mid tier, a few kind of housekeeping things I want to go over is we do have a NASCAR DFS premium package powered, of course, by Luke himself. And what it gets you is access to things like the final thoughts, which is the cheat sheet. He does the same kind of concept. He goes a lot more in depth, of course, than this free to view podcast. But he goes through, drivers that are cash friendly, drivers that are GPP friendly, have high upside, and then drivers you should altogether fade. So that final thoughts, which is our cheat sheet, the premium access in our Discord as well to NASCAR premium channels. So if you have the subscription, you get access to specific channels that nobody else has access to, and you can and he answers those questions. Guaranteed that he answers those questions if you ask him, but he may not be able to get to last second questions in the other non-premium channels. And then of course the core plays, the flagship product that we have, where he kind of displays across all the different sites of the exact players that he's targeting. Something else I want to mention as well is a lot of people that aren't aware that we have this NASCAR Optimizer, which is probably one of the only sites that have a NASCAR Optimizer with projections and everything in it. So if you want to have access to this, you sign up to you can sign up to the Optimizer. Just any of these packages we're mentioning, just go to dfskarma.com/pricing. And you see there, this is a very, very simple process. You can go to this little lock icon you see to the left of the player names. Anybody that Luke is saying he's targeting. So let's say let's say you're doing, a double up or a single entry GPP or whatever it is. If you know what contest you're creating lineups for and he's talking about them, you can actually click that lock icon. So let's say he talks about 3 people that you really, really like. Based on what he's talking about, and you click that little lock icon, and then when you go to build lineups, you're picking every single specific filter here. So let's say I'm doing a GPP, and he was saying Kurt Busch is what we're going for, which actually is one of our highest, our number 1 highest protected guy. So I click on this lock button here. I go to build lineups. Let's say I'm doing a 3 max that has over 50,000 potential people in it. Then I click start new build, and we'll literally create 3 of the most highest optimized lineups where every single one of them have Kyle Busch. So there's a lot of cool features that our optimizer has for NASCAR. Something I just want to mention there. But if you have any questions about anything, you can easily ask a question on the live stream or ask a question inside of our Discord. Once again, that is dfskarma.com/chat. Let's go ahead and go to the mid-tier section now. Who are we targeting for the cash contests?
So for the mid-tier, it's funny because you just showed the optimizer and he's the highest projected driver. But I do like Kurt Busch a lot today. He's starting all the way in the back. He didn't do a lap in qualifying. But he does have to do a pass-through penalty at the start of the race, which isn't good. But there is a competition caution on lap 20. So I don't think it's going to hurt him that much. And he's going to have plenty of time to get his track position back. So Kurt's starting all the way back in 36. He offers a lot of place differential. He has great track history at Auto Club with 4 top 5 finishes over the last 7 races here. So I think he's the safest option in the mid-tier for cash games.
So for those people who don't follow NASCAR too quickly or maybe tuning in because they want to get they're just degens like the rest of us. They want to get as much action and DraftKings and FanDuel as they can. Kind of go over that penalty and what exactly does that mean for him?
So at the start of the race, I mentioned this last week, but on the start of the race, on lap 1, he has to go down pit road because his team failed tech 3 times. So he's going to lose all his. I mean, he's already starting in the back anyway, but he's not going to be close to anyone when he comes outside of pit road. He's going to be almost a lap down by the leaders, and he just has to kind of ride around and hopefully stay on the lead lap or get his lap back as soon as possible.
Okay, and because there is a scheduled caution, which I still think is a weird concept.
Yeah.
A scheduled caution that this shouldn't affect him really at all. Then is what you're saying.
Yep.
Okay. All right, and then for GPPs, who are we targeting for the mid-tier range?
So it's interesting because the mid-tier, there's going to be a lot of popular plays, but there's also going to be a lot of pivot plays. One of my favorite tournament plays in the mid-tier, I wrote him up in the article if you haven't read that already, but I like Tower Reddick a lot. Auto Club's a track that suits his driving style, and I think that starting 11th, he's not going to be that high owned just because there's guys like Chastain, Kurt Busch, Almirola priced around him, which are probably going to soak up more ownership. I just think Reddick's an interesting sleeper play today. He has the upside to finish top 5, and he can also rack up some fast laps as well. So I think Reddick's a good tournament play today.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to the final tier for the DraftKings FanDuel section of this podcast. Anyway, cash, or I guess my first question is for cash games. What's the cheapest that we would go for cash games based on the rules and the style of this race?
So I think the cheapest driver.
Yes, cheapest driver for if you're playing cash games.
So yeah, I think the cheapest driver you can consider for cash games is Corey LaJoie. I just think he's too cheap at only 5,100 on DraftKings. This is probably a DraftKings play only because I don't think you have to go there on FanDuel. But he's only 5,100, and we've already seen how crazy practice and qualifying has been this weekend. And we've seen him have decent speed at the intermediates last season. So I think he's only 5,100. He's starting 25th. I think he has the upside to finish top 20. So I think he's the lowest I would go for cash games.
Okay, and then I mean, I want to say salary aside because we're still focusing on the low tier, but not targeting the cheapest guy. For GPPs, who is your all-around favorite low tier player?
For tournaments,
Yep.
Okay. He burns me a lot, but I like Cole Custer today. He ran the Xfinity Series race yesterday.
I like how you don't have a personal blacklist. Like if I have anybody that across any sport that just burns me a lot, they're just on the blacklist like permanently.
Yeah, it's just hard because like I want to not play him, but it's like sometimes you gotta just move on and just keep playing the guy. But Custer ran the Xfinity Series race yesterday. He looked really good. He led most of the laps. He won the race. It's his home track, so if you want a narrative, there you go. He's starting 21st. I just think that the laps yesterday are going to help him, and I think he's cheap enough where he can help get your lineups to the top. There's not a ton of great value plays this weekend, but I think Custer is one that sticks out. So he's probably my favorite value tournament play.
Now, I don't have it pulled up here, but I will in a second. So something I don't think we did on the Daytona 500 one because we were just kind of talking about I don't know, did we talk about props at all in the Daytona 500 pod? I don't think we did. I'm trying to remember. But what I want to do is I want to whether regardless if you have it pulled up or not, I'm going to rattle off some props on our different partners here. I want to just kind of get your feedback on what you think. So if you're playing anything NASCAR on Monkey Knife Fights, one of our prop partners is monkeyknifefight.online. Again, $100 deposit bonus using promo code KARMA. monkeyknifefight.online is the link to go there. They don't do anything stats at all for NASCAR. It's 100% fantasy points. So because these are two drivers that we've already talked about on this podcast, I want to get Luke's feedback on this two pick. So a two pick for props means that both drivers have to do exactly what you want them to do to win, and it's got a 3x multiplier. So if you put $50 on it and it hits, you get $150. But we have Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch here, both over under fantasy points. Kyle, and also, actually, I'm gonna pause real quick. Luke, are you familiar with the Monkey Knife Fight scoring for fantasy points?
Yeah, I think I know it. It's just 0.1, I think, for laps led, and then
just finish after that. Yeah. So Kyle Larson is at 18.5.
18.5.
I mean, he pretty much has to finish, I would assume, like fourth or better with a handful of laps led.
Yeah. So he would have to finish. Yeah, he has. If he doesn't lead any laps, he has to finish second or better. But I don't see a scenario where Larson doesn't find his way to the front at some point. So I think I like the over there because I think it's pretty confident that I'm pretty confident that he'll get a top 5 finish and be able to lead like 20 to 30 laps today. So I like the over.
Okay, and then Kyle, not Kurt. Kyle is 17.5, which again kind of puts him around that 4th, 5th place finish with a handful of laps led.
I like him too for the over just because he's starting 3rd, so he has a good opportunity to lead some laps early on. And as long as he doesn't wreck or have an issue, I totally see him finishing top 5 with the track history. So I like his over as well.
All right, so the over on both those drivers, that 2 big that we just mentioned. I'm hopping right over now to Prize Picks. Prize Picks does have more variations. It's not just fantasy score. You can also do laps led. You can do fastest laps, and then cars passed or total cars passed, net cars passed. And then, of course, which is slightly different than Monkey Knife Fight, is they give you, here's the 2 players you choose over under on, and Prize Picks is pick whatever 2 players you want to pick. And you can also pick across different sports. So there's only one NASCAR driver you like on one particular stat, and you're in our Discord and we drop like an NBA play, and you're like, oh, I really like, so-and-so over this many points in NBA tonight. You can actually pick that one NASCAR guy and that NBA one. So Prize Picks does offer a lot of more flexibility. But since we already focused on fantasy score, let's look at which I'll read them off to you if you don't have it pulled up, but which category do you think is most interesting? Laps led, fastest laps, or total cars passed?
Probably just fantasy score for me.
Fantasy score? Okay, fair enough. Let's see here. I'm going to try to... Okay, their scoring... The first thing I noticed is their scoring is extremely different than Monkey Knife Fight, because we just talked about Kyle Larson. What was his over under? 18.5, and Prize Picks has him at 55.5. So yeah, definitely pay attention to the scoring.
It's the exact same as DraftKings, which is kind of nice.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy then. So that's why I was like, I'm feeling that's probably why you're focusing on the fantasy score, because you're going to have that projection in the back of your mind.
Exactly. It's a lot easier.
So I guess with that being said, because there is, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 20 drivers that you can do fantasy score on. So give me a player in the back of your mind that you think is the most likeliest to exceed their projected fantasy score, no matter what their salary is on DraftKings.
I would say that the most likely guy to hit his over is probably Kyle Larson, just because we got to consider that they have fast laps and laps led for their scoring. He offers place differential, and I think he can easily score 10 plus dominator points today. So I like the Larson over.
So I'm looking at, okay, so I was like, why is it 55.5? Monkey Knife Fight's 18.5, and it's because the finishing place points is so much higher.
Yeah.
Like first place is 45 points in itself, and they also have laps. Well, no. The other one's got laps led, but they also have fastest laps as well. So even though Kyle Larson is the highest number to beat for the over under, which is 55.5 right now on PrizePicks.online, you're saying that is still, even though he's the highest based on all of the things that you're looking at for this race, you still think that he's your favorite to exceed his projection.
I think it's still too low just because they offer place differential. So let's just say, for example, Kyle Larson finishes 5th. If he finishes 5th, he'll get 8 place differential points plus the 39 for his 5th place finish. That'll get him 47. I just don't. I just see it. I don't see a scenario.
I don't think they have place differential. Oh nope, never mind. I lied. They do. No, all right, continue.
So yeah, that puts him at 47. I just don't see a scenario where he doesn't find his way to the front and score some fast laps. Because if he finishes top 5, that would score him 47, and he only needs 8.5 of dominator points. If he finishes 2nd, that puts him at 53. And if he's running up front, he's probably going to get some dominator points. So I just think it's hard to bet against Larson. So I think he's a good play for the over.
All right. So because on any of these prop sites, which is how they get away with doing DFS and making it legal in a ton of states, which it's more than likely these sites are available in your state, because you have to have 2 players minimum. unless you're betting traditionally on a sports book. But I don't think most sports books don't have NASCAR fantasy score, and if they do, then you're incredibly lucky because I don't think I've ever seen that. But Kyle Larson over 55.5. If you're picking one player here, you can look at the screen if you want to, if you don't have it pulled up, because I just shared it here. What are some other drivers here, or just one other driver that you can see there that you think is going to exceed their projected fantasy score for the second play on Prize Picks?
I think that he's not on there. I have it on my phone, but I'm looking at Christopher Bell. I think
right
his over is good today. I think he's going to be able to run inside I think he's going to be able to finish inside the top 10, which is all he has to do to hit his over. I just think that JGR's had a lot of speed at Auto Club in the past, and starting 19th, he offers those place differential points. So I don't really see how he doesn't hit the over here.
All right, so the top two favorite plays on Prize Picks, focusing on fantasy score, which, like Lou said earlier, is identical to DraftKings scoring. So that's why he's extremely comfortable with these, because that's the DraftKings score is kind of what everybody focuses on the most anyway. Kyle Larson over 55.5 fantasy points. Christopher Bell over 40.5 fantasy points. You see there, you click power play. Do not click flex play. Do not accidentally put anything in ever across any sport on Prize Picks. If it's a 2-pick, never ever never forget to not click power play. Flex play is always shooting yourself in the foot. The fact that it exists blows my mind. Power play, once they both hit, as you see with a $100 entry, it's a triple up, so you get $300 there. So I'm gonna go back real quick because I didn't have it pulled up on the screen when we were talking about Monkey Knife Fight, to show you this here real quick. So Monkey Knife Fight, here's the play. It was the very first 2-pick here in the top left. So what you have to do after you log in is you go to the sports, go to new game, click on this, and then that's the first thing that pops up. So we're going over here. 18.5 Kyle Larson, over 17.5 Kyle Busch. If you want more, if you were like, oh man, I really like prop plays, I didn't think that was part of this podcast. This is great. If you want more, it's simple. Go to our chat room, dfskarma.com/chat. If you sign up for our prop subscription or MVP subscription, you get access to every single prop across all of the sites, across all the sports, including NASCAR as well. But now that we've kind of went over the prop side of things, I don't think Underdog Fantasy has NASCAR. I'm pretty positive they don't, for props anyway. So what I want to do now is I want to kind of show you guys again what I was talking about earlier, which is jock market. So let me flip over here real quick. So again, this is where you guys join the $2,500 free roll that we were talking about at the beginning of this podcast. $2,500. You pay $0 to enter this contest, aka it's a free roll. If you're not in this, you hate money. If you never join if it was a free roll that was like $50, I'd be like, yeah, whatever, I don't care about it, because like if I get first place, I'll get $5, whatever. Sure. When it gets to $2,500, if you are playing fantasy sports and you're betting on sports for the purpose of making more money than what you bet on or what you put in your lineups, and you're not joining a $2,500 free roll, you are not in the right mindset strategically. So that being said, this is a free to join app. It is available on iOS and Android. Just go to Jock MKT. So JOCK M as in Mary, KT, which is short for market, jockmkt.online. That'll let you download the app. When you deposit for the first time, use promo code Karma to get the $100 deposit bonus. But even if you do not deposit today and you just want to try it out, just to get in the $2,500 free roll, they do have a desktop version as well, which is what I have pulled up here. So I'm going to go one more time over the strategy for the free roll. And just for the sake of this podcast, we'll finish it off by having Luke pick who he thinks is going to finish with the best ROI. So again, you see everybody here is listening in specific order based on the fantasy projections. As you can see, it's a whole lot higher than Prize Picks and DraftKings. Kyle Busch is projected to get 233.70. So I don't know. Do you know? Let me see here. I got to pull this up. Okay. If you start the game or you start the race, you get 40 points automatically. So that makes sense. If you complete a lap, you get 1. Okay. So this is this. I was like, how do you get to 233? Okay. So every lap you complete, 1. There is no place differential positive, only a negative. So if you start in first and you finish 5th, you're at -4. But if you start in 5th and finish 2nd, you get no extra bonus points. You only get 10 for winning. Okay. So all right. That's a little crazier, but I don't know. I like. Go ahead.
Is the start bonus like finishing position?
Start bonus is just them starting the race, so they automatically start with 40 points if they are in when the race starts. Kind of starts them off with 40.
Okay, I see.
Which I think they include. I think they include everybody, including alternates. So it kind of makes you not want to go for an alternate because, of course, they're not going to start the race or whatever. But yeah. So again, this is the strategy for jockmarket.online. For the free roll, the difference, there's a major different strategy when you're in the free rolls and when you're in the regular cash market. We're only talking about the free roll because I expect every single one of you who are watching this still right now to be joining a $2,500 free roll putting on for you guys. So you get 250 play dollars in the free roll, and you want to get as many shares of, this is our strategy anyway at Karma, which we've taken down tons of free rolls. You want to get as many shares of one driver in this race. So right now it says $1 because it hasn't opened up yet. But like for the last 10 minutes before lock, these numbers are going to fluctuate because everybody's going to be bidding on each of these drivers. There's not an average for NASCAR yet because this is the second race they've had a free roll for NASCAR. So we're trying to get used to the finishing prices during the bidding round. But I'm going to give any examples you guys to understand a little bit better here. So if we get Chase Elliott, so Chase Elliott right now is 5th place. So if we get all of our play money they give us for the free roll, and we get as many shares of Chase Elliott as possible, more than any other person in this entire event, and Chase Elliott finishes in 1st place, you are guaranteed to win. If you have the driver that has the best ROI, you are guaranteed to win this free roll. And I'll go through again the payout. Oh, I'm not in the free roll right now, but the payout for what, 2,500, I think it's what, $500 for 1st place, something crazy like that. So if you're the number one question you're probably asking right now, if you've never heard of this, is how is it determined ROI or how much money something wins? So right here, Kyle Busch, if he finishes in 1st place, every share you have of Kyle Busch gets $25. Every share of whoever you have, if they finish in 1st, and not 1st place in the race, which typically that means they're in 1st in the contest, but if they finish 1st in fantasy point scoring, every share is $25. If they finish 2nd, every share is $20. And this is the same across all sports. So that you want to get the guy, whoever you're going all in on, you want to have them finish 1st because they're going to get $25 per share. And if you only got a guy for what, $5 a share, then you just 5x'd all the money that you put on there. So there is a lot of differences, and we do have people asking questions all the time, which we love answering them. So if you have more questions, you can either go to our website, dfskarma.com. There's a drop-down menu that says Jock Market. You can click on how to play and strategy and stuff like that, or you get into our free Discord channel. Again, dfskarma.com/chat. Go to the NASCAR Jock Market channel. We're going to be talking there for the next couple hours before lock, and we go over Jock Market stuff 24/7. Doesn't cost you a single penny. And of course, this $2,500 free roll doesn't cost you any money either. Now that I've long-winded explained the gist of what you're going to try to do in this contest, I guess I know I've asked you this question already, Luke, in the other contest of who do you think is the best cash game player for mid-tier and high-tier and stuff. And if you guys are tuning in late, everything here is going to be replayable, so you can watch it after it's over with here in a short period. But I guess my first question is, are you comfortable with the strategy of the Jock Market free roll, Luke?
Yeah, I think it makes sense.
Okay, so assuming that everybody here finishes their cost finishes in the exact order of their projections, so let's just say the most expensive guys will be Busch, the second most expensive guys will be Larson, the third most expensive will be Logano. So if that happens, and out of all of these drivers we have, we're simply looking, there's 36? Yeah. We're simply looking for the guy that's kind of the best ROI. So that it's possible that if Todd down here, starting 26th, if he finishes as the second best scoring driver, that he has the highest ROI because his share cost is so cheap right down here. So he doesn't have to finish 1st for you to win this free roll if you get somebody that's stupid cheap. So with that being said, out of all of these drivers, based on how cheap they're going to be, or how based on their, it's so hard to explain this. It's so hard to explain this contest for someone who's never done it before. I'm trying to make sure that everything I say is like, oh yeah, I get that. But I'm sure you guys watching have questions, which is why we have free channels in our Discord to help you guys with this concept. But my question for you, Luke, that I keep trying to get to, but I keep explaining more things on, is who is going to be the best ROI driver for the Jock Market $2,500 free roll?
There's a lot of guys that I like, but I think the one that sticks out to me the most would probably be Christopher Bell. I just think that he's too low right now. Where do you see him?
Where's he at right now in terms of ranking on this? Oh, right there, 14. I see him.
14.
Okay. Yep.
I think he's a little low right now, and I think he has a good chance at because laps led don't mean anything. So I think he has a good chance of finishing inside the top 10 and maybe even the top 5. So I like Bell a lot.
All right. So because he is the ninth, well, he was 19th. I think people are bidding on him right now. So he's at the 14 now. But yeah, so because he's kind of there in the bottom tier of the top 20, he doesn't have to finish first. More than likely, he doesn't have to finish in first in fantasy scoring for you guys to win. But if you guys go all in on Bell, which only one or two of you can, based on how this game works, if you do it right, and he finishes as the highest ROI driver, you're going to guarantee yourself $500 for free. So hopefully Bell does it. I'm going to be going all in on Bell. I'm going to tell you that right now because Luke told me to, and Luke's the NASCAR GOAT. But anything else that you want to share before we wrap this up? Besides, of course, your free to view article that you just tossed on the site earlier this morning that you can find for free on defuskarma.com by just clicking you can see it on the homepage, or you can click NASCAR here in the top menu. But anything else you want to share with these lovely people who are still tuning in?
I would just say, if you're making some lineups today, just know that I think this is more of like a tournament slate than a cash game slate, just because we didn't really mention this much on the live stream, but the cars are really hard to drive. Just watching like practice and qualifying, a lot of people are like hanging on for dear life around the track. So I think we're going to see a lot more cautions this weekend. So I don't really know how confident I'd be in playing cash games, but I think it's a great tournament play because there's a lot of unknowns.
Yeah, I just saw a YouTube comment pop in here from Marshawn on YouTube. He says, it's not really a question, but he's like, he just makes a statement. He says, Kyle Busch leads stage 2 and he wins. That is Marshawn's guesstimation there. Kyle Busch leads stage 2 and he wins the race. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's a good take. I could see it for sure.
All right. So once again, guys, if you have questions that you did not have a chance to ask before we wrap this up, which is going to happen here in the next 10 seconds, go to our Discord, dfskarma.com/chat. Go to the NASCAR chat channel, and then, just ask Luke whatever you got, and then we'll hopefully win some kashish here again today, and also lock in those props, and also get in the gosh dang $2,500 free roll. But we'll see you guys on the next live stream for the next race. Nathan on YouTube just said custard to the moon. Wasn't that the one that you said should be on your blacklist you're talking about earlier?
Yes.
But apparently he's going to the moon here today. All right, guys. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure if you haven't yet, click the thumbs up on this stream for this particular episode. And we'll see you guys in the chat. And hopefully everybody's screens are green. See you guys.
Good luck, guys.